Right, greetings and salutations, hails to all of you out there. Dr. Casper Rosenkrol with day 6 of the 1776 Wounded Warrior Project Push-Up Challenge in July. I took yesterday off to watch a little baseball, to reboot, having a bad PTSD day and all that kind of stuff, I won't pass my problems on to you. Instead, I want to talk to you about will. We talk a lot about I'll do this, I'll do that, I''LL, that's a conjecture of will. We say I will do this, I will do that, or I won't do this, I won't do that. Those are all wills. We use this word euphemistically out through our lives every day without even realizing what we're talking about. We just take it for granted. But what it means is I will do this, or I will not do that. That is an act, a willed force applied by you through your personal fortitude and commitment to see the yield of your desires affected and come to fruition. I will not use dope anymore. I will not have a drink today. I will honor my commitments this and every day. I will think hard before I make another commitment if I did not like the fact that I had to honor this one to somebody I'd rather have not. That's what will is. Will is the exercise of your personal fortitude. Somebody asks me all the time, how did you deal with your anger? You're a very aggressive individual, personality type. You have a reputation that is kind of crazy considering your sawed-off size and everything, and yet it's real. How did you do that? How did you tame those demons? First and foremost, I had to acknowledge that my aggression was not an asset. My violent behavior was not an asset. Maybe it served as an asset to save myself and survive in a pro-violent environment, in and out of prison. But itself, it is not an asset. It's a detriment. It's a self-accepted weakness, if you will. To be able to control that aggression, to be able to control how I do those things, make a decision. Do I need to apply willed force here physically, or is it much more to do about nothing, and it's just talk, keep my hands crossed, and just let this guy walk away, or let these people walk away, or until I see a weapon or something come out, or a strike. It all means nothing. If I were deaf, I wouldn't even be able to hear it. I'd have to all be dependent on gesture. So I came up with a plan. I've tried all these programs. I tried anger management ad nauseum. Which there's no such thing as really managing your anger. There's controlling your anger and applying learned devices to control that. So for me, I had to come up with my own thing. And one of the things that helped me, that I figured out that worked for me, was the only thing that's worked for me. I count breaths. It's meditational. It sounds stupid, I know, but let me show you how this works. Let me show you how this worked for me. I get into some kind of words with somebody who's also aggressive personality type, alpha personality type, and what usually happens, how these things develop into physical, altercations. Is that one person starts talking, the other person sits there halfway through, or even a quarter, whatever, not even a minute, and it's like my personality used to be, I'm not listening to this, fuck you, hey, fuck you. Next thing you know, we're getting kinetic. So the bottom line in this is I had to learn how to stop and consider what was being said and decide, unless I see a shoulder feint or something like that, or a weapon come out, this is not worth making the first blow, striking the first blow, if it's not appropriate. So how do I do that? So I started counting my breaths. And the human mind is only capable of doing 2 things at one time. I don't know if a lot of people realize that. I've done a lot of study on this. You're only capable of doing 2 things at one time with a total awareness. So if I'm watching this person to make sure doesn't become a physical threat to me, and I'm listening to what he's saying, and I'm counting my breaths at the same time, I can't open my mouth and reciprocate any negativity while he's talking, which will then lead to a collision of personalities, which will result in physical aggression being exerted on both parties' behalf. So what I do is I start counting breaths, and I learned that when I started counting these breaths, I'd hear everything that's being said by this person while watching, and I found out that a lot of my aggressive overtures in acts that result in acts of physicality were unnecessary, and probably premature, which gave me, a reputation. Bad if you're an honest kind of person, and good if you're a thug type. Think, oh yeah, he's getting off. It's like, but the reality is, I learned to control that by counting my breaths and listening to what somebody's saying. I also found that upon culmination of that, I may not agree with the person individually. I may have agreed with some of what he said, but I listened to everything and considered it at a greater length than I would have if I just stopped him right in his tracks and, put my own aggressive 2 cents in, as it were. So having listened to what somebody had to say made me more open to considering their perspective and point of view too. Like, hey Casper, this happened, and from my point of view, this is how I took it. And if you were in my position, you'd think the same way. So I started considering these things, and it's correct. It's correct. That's true. So that's how I started dealing with my own anger and frustration from just acting on it. Those of you who know me, who watch this, and I know, because I know people do, because they have relations with them, and I talk to them daily and stuff. Those of you who know me and have actually been in my life when I was very pro-aggressive, you've seen how quick. It's zero to nothing. It's on and popping, and you know what? Somebody's jaw's broken, their nose is broken, their eye orbit is crushed, and whatever. Not good things. Not good things for somebody trying to be pro-social or trying to live a good life, whether it's incarcerated for the rest of your life or out here. So I just decided I had to change something. I had to alter my my behavior. And there's a word too. Change is another word. Change is something that is very offensive and abrasive to an alpha male who's come from a background of adversity. You hear the word change, and instantly you shut down. Your hackles go up. You want to stop this right here. So I started saying, I'd be better served by, and you might be better served by considering this. That's how I started moving forward from that. But I started asking myself a question too in my own meditations. Why am I so adverse to change when the change is being affected at my own doing? I have decided that I didn't like something, so I'm going to change it for the better. Yet I'd rear up on it. Which made no sense to me when it's coming from my own desire to change. I had a lot to do to unravel the mess that my life had become. A big part of that is controlling my aggression. A lot of people still hear me, neighbors and stuff, say, "Well, you're really quick, and you're an in-your-face kind of guy when you don't like something." And I'm trying to change some of that, because I don't want to be offensive to people that I care about, especially. And I don't want people to fear me. I don't want people to think that that I'm not approachable in a conversation where we disagree with something. Least of all, not my wife or my kids or my friends or my comrades from the military. It's a hard thing it's a hard dragon to slay. But I have had great success with the idea of will. I will do this, or I will not do that. Key words: I, meaning it's a choice that I am making, a choice that you can make, and will, my active force directed at what it is I'm trying to affect a change in or an alteration in. That right there is so paramount to overcoming a lot of maladies in my life, and you can do it too, because if I can do it, you can do it. And especially in the environment I started doing it in, before I ever even had a chance to get out of here, and for no reason other than I didn't want to be that person anymore. Secondly, the counting the breaths thing. It works wonderful. If you count your breaths when you're getting confrontation with somebody, you can't open your mouth from your end to ratchet it up. You're listening. This person is receptive to the fact that you're listening to them instead of pushing back. People can come to a meaningful agreement that they either just disagree on this, or maybe we find some common ground. But nothing's going to happen as long as you just sit there and push back right away. It's going to either end up in an altercation, or at the very least, people walking away mad from each other. Counting breaths. 1, 2, all inside my head, while sitting there calmly with my hands in front of me to be able to defend if I need to, and listen to what's being said. All the while looking for any physical threat as a tell, if you will, you know, a boxing telegraph, if you will, you know. So you can do two things at once. Those are the two things, and it keeps you from doing the third thing, which if you could do is opening your mouth and you know, just adding to the frustration and aggravation that's already occurring. So that's my tip for dealing with frustration and aggression. I'm going to get to these push-ups right here, right now, and we'll go forward from that. I hope you're all having a good day. Like I said, I've been having quite a bit of a PTSD issues, but it's all good. Okay, that's 50 right to start with, and feeling pretty good. It's hot in here, hot in the house. Stay hydrated. Stay hydrated. Drink some. Know your limitations. I'm going to stop and take a little extra breath. So, in the Odinic parlance, will is expressed through the rune Sowilo. Sowilo is a rune that is activated will, willed force, the employment of your will towards an endeavor you would wish to see affected in your favor. That is what Sowilo is. Also, it's considered the sunlight, where the sun burns off the dross of frost and what have you in the north at the time it was devised. But Sowilo is directed and willed force. Odinically speaking, whether you're a heathen, an Odinist, or a Christian, or agnostic, or whatever your religious subscription or lack thereof may be, Sowilo is a good design to think of in our lives, where we wish to apply our willed force towards an endeavor that we wish to see result in favorable outcome for us. So that goes back to the idea that I will do this or I will not do this. It's really cause and effect is what it is. If you just break it down to the nuts and bolts, it's cause and effect. Cause and effect dictates that for every action, there's a reaction. We don't want to be reactive people. Reactionary people react to a situation, good or bad. You know, we want to be responsive people. It's better to respond and be responsive to a situation. When you respond to a situation, it implies that you have a degree or a measure of control over what it is going on in the way you address that situation. Reaction is just an immediate reaction there too. There's no control over that at all. It's like flying off the handle, if you will. So there's an Odinic paradigm that says we cannot choose the joys or hardships we must face in this life, but we can choose to face them calmly and courageously. For that is our grace. That is the teaching of Odin. So, I mean, I've seen people get good news and get all squeaky and wiggly like a little 6-year-old girl, you know, who just opened up her first Barbie set. I'm talking about grown men here, and that's not controlling or facing your joys with control. And then I've seen people panic under distress. Good warriors, good men that have got good credentials under the belt, and I've seen them just freeze up, paralyzed with fear, or paranoia, or you know, falling apart with lack of preparedness. You know, just panic. You know, in prison, there's an old saying: the main thing is not to panic. Well, it applies out here. And panic is a reaction. You know, it is a loss of control. To respond to something negative or adverse facing you in the moment that you didn't expect, it's just now upon you. To respond to that situation is to, on the fly, in the immediate sense, take stock of what's happening. Be aware of what's going on. What can I do? I see a problem. What's the solution? Find a solution, apply the solution, affect the result that you want. Once again, will force. That's pretty much how I deal with things in my life. And, you know, that's how I've always dealt with them, honestly. And before I had command of my aggression a little bit, and doing it through the counting and the application of self-awareness, that I decided I'm the one who will do this or will not do this. It wasn't always so good, you know. It was a little explosive, and you know, got me in a lot of trouble. It cost me a lot of my personal liberty and whatnot. But it also applies in the positive with what I'm doing now, and you can do that too. And that's the lesson of will. That's another 50, so that's 100. So let's consider a few things here. Let's consider how we apply will to addictive behaviors. So the addictive behavior rears its head in many fashions and forms. It could be substance abuse, drugs, alcohol. It could be gambling. It could be a penchant for sexual perversion through pornography that's not healthy or non-consensual with you and your partner, your wife, your girlfriend. It can be a control, an addiction to be a controlling and commanding person over others in your life. From your wife and your children to your friends, the person that's got to be in control of everything. Now, I like to be in control of everything in my life, and so I was a guy like that once upon a time. Not in abusive fashion, never been an abusive person towards my mates and my kids. It's never been my thing. I've always been the anti-bully, which made me a bully to the bullies. With a little bit of a oxymoron there, but so, you know, I've always done things that were what I felt were protective and defensive, but in doing so, I've become over-controlling in some things, in some fashions, and that's neither good neither. It's neither good nor conducive to any kind of healthy relationship, whether it's a friendship or you know, platonic or a romantic one. So. Command and control of our addictive behaviors and personalities. If we are such individuals that are, not everybody is, but if we are such individuals like myself who had a substance addiction, you know, once upon a time, I've got 29 years clean now, going on 30. So, but I did have an issue one time. People ask all the time, and I'm very close to the vest with it. I try not to get too personal and too much information on this, but you know, prior to 29 years ago or so, I used to love what we called Belushis back then, speedballs, heroin and cocaine, or heroin and speed mixed. I like the thrill of going up and the low of going down, and you know, it's kind of like playing Russian roulette. And you know, I just got to the point where it's like I could not do this anymore in my own conscience. Not because I wasn't having a good time, which at that point I wasn't anymore, but not because of that, but because I didn't like forfeiting command of my faculties. The lack of awareness of what's going on for even 2 minutes, let alone 20 minutes or 30 minutes while you're on the nod. So I had to do something to take back control of my faculties, where I was in charge, where I wasn't losing that. Some of the best men that I've seen whacked in the joint, or even out here for that matter, some of the people that I would have never ever thought somebody would have got close to, they got close to them because they didn't have command of their faculties. For a given moment of weakness, whether they were nodding, you know, on an opiate fucking run, or whether they were paranoid from going too fast, or they were caught up by some skirt with a really pretty and sexy demeanor that was really just a shill to get you to put down your defense. Whatever the device was, I've seen good men, or good at what they did, laid low by that lack of command over their faculties. That became a problem for me in my life. I didn't want to be that guy. I can be got. I'm human like anybody else. I bleed. I'm made of flesh and blood. But you take away from your weapon, your warrior weapon repertoire, which first and foremost starts here between your ears. Next, your physical abilities to be agile and strong to move the way you need to. And third, your skill set to apply therein. Prior to any weapon that you'll ever fill your hand with or point at somebody or whatever, those are the three that you need to depend on in ugly environments where I've been. And they're good to have out here. First of all, if the mind is right, the warrior is right. You know, the mind is not right, the warrior is not right. He who would follow the way of the warrior must first follow the way of the mind, because the mind is the warrior. So there it goes, physiologically speaking. You know, keep your mind right, your body will follow. Keep your body right, you'll keep your mind right. This is the benefit of any kind of physical fitness. It doesn't have to be muscle building, muscle bound. It doesn't have to be long-winded. 10 minutes a day through some kind of meditation or some kind of physical exertion. Get your heart rate up a little bit for 15, 20 minutes. Just do something. Walk. Anything. Anything. You know, there's a book by Marine General, First Make Your Bed. First thing he did is he talked about the ethic of getting up every morning and just making your bed. Now, people say, okay, what's that about? Well, you make your bed. If you set yourself a goal that first thing in the morning, you make your bed. This is a military indoctrination, by the way. It's one of the first things you're taught when you go in the military. Before you go to basic training in any branch, while you're in what they call a reception center, getting your hair cut, your uniforms issued, learning how to march, how to stand, you know, pad, all that stuff, they teach you the first thing, you make your bed when you get up in the morning. There's going to be an inspection, and your bed better be made, it better be made right. You better be able to bounce a quarter off that fucker with hospital corners or cut corners, whatever you want to call it. This is the idea. So the idea is, if you teach a man or a woman to get up every morning and start their day by doing nothing else but making their bed, that's an ethic. It's an ethic for good behavior, good lessons in life to follow, good structure, good regimental thinking, and living thereby, or therewith, if you will. And so you first get up and make your bed if you do nothing else. You do that, you're more likely to do everything else thereafter that you put into your repertoire. You get up, you just throw your covers off or just leave your bed the way it is, you're more likely to fail at fulfilling any of your daily obligations other than what makes you your money to be able to pay your bills and feed yourself. So that's the whole premise of that. I go a step further. I'd like to say, get up, make your bed, take some time, even if you're just sitting. You don't have to be all Gumby-like and sit cross-legged and or anything else unless you choose to. Get up and get some headspace to yourself. 5 minutes in the morning. Close your mind. Count your breath. You know, turn everything off. Start your day with a fresh reboot with no expectations at all. Good, bad, positive, negative. Just clear the plate. Clear the plate. As you go through the day, you put on the plate whatever it is you feel you have to, and then, of course, there's going to be things that get dumped on it that you don't want from external forces, but you're able to deal with that. Just calmly get up and brush that off your plate, put back on the spot where you brush that off of something you want there. This is all metaphorically speaking, of course. My point is, this is what command of your own personal faculties, your mental faculties, your personality, your character traits. This is how you take a bad character flaw and you turn it into a good character trait. Once a mistake, twice a habit. In other words, you do something once, it's a mistake. You can say, it was a mistake, I fucked up. You do it a second time, it's not a mistake anymore, it's a habit. This is how habits form, good or bad. You take something, you take the same premise to make habits good. Good habitual living starts with, okay, I did it once today, I did it again tomorrow. Today's day 3, I'm going to do it again. My intention is to do it today, tomorrow. Day 4, when I get up, if I'm so blessed to wake up and draw breath, and that's what you do, and that becomes habitual, and that's how you do this. Okay, that's another 50. That brings a total of 150. We're cruising along, and hopefully giving some positive food for thought. I can tell you, it's a hot house in here. You know, sweating like a turkey at Thanksgiving. I do have more colorful euphemisms for that same quote, but I don't think they're appropriate for this channel. At any rate, as if all the F-bombs I drop are, huh? So, my hope for you all is that you're having a good day, wherever you find yourself, and that whatever negative force is pulling you down, whatever anchor you have weighing you down right now, my hope for you is that you'll take some advice, whether it's from me or anybody, to take that anchor and convert it positively into a catalyst as an agent for change in your life. That's what it takes. So Willow, willed force, I will. So you know, that's my words of wisdom for the day here is you know, I know a lot of people suffer from a lot of afflictions out there. For myself, a lot of guys who've done 20 years or more in prison. It doesn't even have to take that long, or time out in the military, in the combat zones. PTSD is a huge thing to overcome, and you know, there's no easy way to deal with that. You just have to find a way every day to be your own best advocate. But being your own best advocate means you're acting in your own best interest in a positive, responsive way to the adversities you face, not a reactive way. A few people have donated some money to me over the past couple of days. I appreciate and I thank you for your generosity so much. I cannot begin to tell you on behalf of both Linda and I how much that means to us. I thank you, very genuinely and sincerely. But even more so, the fact that the words that come with it, that I've been an inspiration or the catalyst of the agent for change in your life, that you're now looking to do something better for yourself. Maybe you fell off the wagon a little, now you're back on after listening to me, or maybe you had a rough going, but you're picking yourself up and you're soldiering on. That you're attributing me with that is very humbling. I got to tell you, it's not me, it's you. All I'm doing is showing you what you're capable of. It's all right in here. Everything is in here. The whole kit, the whole shebang, it's all within you, everything. All I'm doing is helping lead you to it, to see what you're made of, what you're capable of. The man or woman that you were meant to be, that you are capable of being. That, my friends, that's what's real. Nobody else can fix you. Whatever it is that needs fixing, if anything at all, only you can do that. And everything already exists within yourself. Whether it's of divine proportion, personal strength and will, you know, whatever your higher power or your device for change is, whatever that is, it all exists within here and here. All I'm doing is speaking to you, giving you an example of how I did things myself, how I've seen other men do things. God, I got to tell you, when this guy told me this today, that I won't mention his name out of confidentiality and respect for that, but he dropped 50 on me through the Venmo to my account, and he told me, keep doing what you're doing. You don't know what effect you're having. You made a change that's in my life, and it's like, I'm not a soft, warm, fuzzy kind of guy, but I almost broke down, got a lump in my throat, because I think of all the guys that I've known over the years whose trip left them cold on the way to the morgue from the cell that they occupied. Not trying or intending to end their lives, this demon of addiction just he couldn't feed it enough. And so they just kept doing a little bit more, trying to make the pain go away, just a little bit more, and that little bit more left them cold. And when I think of that guy right there saying, hey, I'm going to do something with, I fell off the wagon, but I'm good. I'm headed in the right direction. Thank you for inspiring that. I think to myself, man, I couldn't do it for those guys. I couldn't be there for my friends that I've watched die. A lot of guys die from overdoses in prison. Guys that I'd known since I came into the system, guys that tried to keep me right, keep my head right. And so when this guy hit me with those words, the money was so generous, but the words fucked me up, man. It's like I just sit there and think to myself, damn, if I could have been a better person to my friends then, like I am to you now, because I was getting out of my own way and exerting my will for a positive outcome, I tell myself I'm an Odinist, so I believe in fate. Whatever happened was going to happen. It was their fate. But maybe it wouldn't have been at that moment. Maybe it could have just been pushed off a little bit. There's an old Norse saying, an old Viking saying, that a man meant to hang won't drown. But there's a common sense that says if you go out of the stormy seas enough in a little unseaworthy vessel, you're tempting the fate, and your chances of drowning increase. Even if your fate was not to drown, you may change your fate. I couldn't have done anything about it, I know that, but it just hurts, and I'm just glad I'm being able to make a difference in your lives. I hope that I'm able to affect a lot more people than let on to let me know that I am. This is how I live my amends right here. And like I said, I'm a fatalist because I'm an Odinist, a true fundamental Odinist, so I believe in fate. If I dropped dead of a massive coronary event at the end of this, that was my fate. That's Odin's way of bringing me home to him to Valhalla. That's the deal I made with him. I made a blood oath with him through the Vulcanite Rite. You give me victory in the things that I seek in this lifetime, and I'm yours when you have need for me and deem ready to take me. So if somebody would have stabbed me and killed me in prison, somebody drives by and shoots me tomorrow, they've done nothing. In their mind, if that makes them feel like a bigger man, good for them. But they've done nothing. All they were was an instrument of Allfather Odin to bring me to him. Because that's fate. And that's how I live my life. And fate is something that, in my belief, is predestined. When my father passed the seed to my mom, my fate was sealed right there. But the journey is yours to command. In other words, you may end up at the same place no matter what road you take out of any hundreds of roads you could take, but what you do along the way is up to you. Taking accountability and responsibility for command in your life, over your life, or giving it up and forfeiting it to something like a thrall, like a slave, to drugs or alcohol or some pernicious activity, that is your choice, as it was my choice when I was doing that. It's your choice today as I stand here before you to get up, stand up, look yourself in the mirror, don't look away, look yourself in the eye. Look yourself in the eyes, don't look away. It's a hard thing to do. Take an honest survey and say, is this who I want to be? And if I'm good with that, then so be it, brother, sister. But if you say, I don't like who I am, don't look away. Keep looking that person in the eye and say, I make a commitment right here, right now to change. I'm going to be the agent of that change. And I'm going to affect this change through will, activated and applied force, my will, my personal fortitude, and I'm going to change this, the way things are. And that's all there is to it. And that's how you start, my friend. Count those breaths. Okay, so another 50, that brings it to 200. Well, that's 30-something minutes. I'm going to end it here. I feel like I could do another couple hundred, but you know what? The longer these videos get, the harder it gets to upload them. So I'm going to say, Odin Meadows, Odin with you. Whatever God you believe in, may he or she be with you. And may the blessings of peace, prosperity, and personal fortitude be with you every day. May you be able to will yourself into the person you want to be. Remember, that person needs to be responsive, not reactive. Have a good evening. Odin Meadows. I'll see you tomorrow.